Hello, this is Mr. Jarrett, and in this video tutorial we are going to be drawing tension spring in SolidWorks. So all of the measurements that I got for this were modeled of another tension spring tutorial that I saw on YouTube, and I kind of just changed some of the measurements so they matched a tension spring that I had at home. Now this tension spring that I had at home was extremely tiny. It actually went inside of an electronic device. So all of the measurements here are going to be very small, but they are pretty realistic to the small tension spring that I actually had. So we're going to start out by creating a new part in SolidWorks. And this is millimeters, so we're going to switch it to millimeters. I'm going to set my material right off the bat here. I'm going to make this chrome, stainless steel. So chrome, stainless, fine, close. I'm going to start by sketching on the top plane. I'll get my circle tool, click on my origin, and I'm going to make a circle that is 3.6 millimeters. Now that seems odd, but again, this is based off of a video that I saw online. So 3.6 millimeters diameter. So now what I'm going to do is go up to Insert, Curve, and it's going to be the helix / spiral. So you see it's going to be like that. I'm going to kind of rotate my screen so that you can see what's actually here. And the settings that we're going to be using are going to be set to a constant pitch. We're going to say a 2 millimeter pitch and 13 revolutions. 13. That 225 is fine. So is the clockwise. You can see how this is going to spin up like that. Now, you could change different things here, the pitch, the variable. I know a lot of you have never probably used this because it's a rare occasion that you use this helix or spiral. So feel free to kind of mess around with this a little, experience what this does. But again, these numbers are coming from a tutorial that I saw online, and I modeled them to slightly match what I actually have for my tension spring. I'm going to hit the green. Now that we have that, we're not going to just sweep this. We actually need to model sketches to do this stuff at the top. So what I'm going to do here is sketch on the front plane. So get my sketch tool, hit the drop down, select front plane. I'm going to get a construction line. I'm going to draw a line up from the origin, straight up. Up above here, we're actually going to have another line that goes up, one that kind of goes curls. So I'm going to move my mouse away and then move it back so that it curls out. Move my mouse away, move it back, and I want it to kind of curl like this. Now, if you have a hard time doing that, I could have just got a arc and just attach and then fill at this corner. That's fine too. All three of these lines here, we actually want to be solid object lines. So I'm going to turn them off of construction line so that I can work with those. So dimensioning these, we need this dot down to the origin. That center point down to the origin is going to be 32. That arc itself, the bigger arc, is going to have a radius of 2. The smaller arc in here is going to have a radius of 1. This vertical line is going to be 1. Right now this is off to the side. I'm going to take this center point, hold in shift, select my origin, and I'll make them coincident so it's straight up and down. And you can see it's almost fully defined. There's just this little part. So we're going to go back up and get our line tool, make a construction line, and I'm going to go from that dot to the center point. Now that's going to us to dimension a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to go from there to here, and I'm going to put right in between, say 45 degrees. Okay. So now we kind of have the connector at the top of this. I'm going to hit return from sketch. I'm going to do the exact same thing, just different dimensions, but down here at the bottom. So once again, I'll sketch my front plane. I'm going to come down here at the bottom of this. I want to do a similar thing. So I'm going to get the line tool to come from my origin. This is going to go down. I'm going to put another line in because that first actually should have made a construction line. Once again, I'll move away. I'll come back to it, do a little arc, away, come back to it, and I'll do that bigger arc. And so again, this should have been a construction line here. So I'm going to select that line and make that a construction. Now I just need to start to dimension this. So that construction line is going to be 3. The bigger arc here, actually we don't even need to dimension these, make them equal to the top. So one thing I want to do here is select that center point, hold in Shift and click one of these lines and make it coincident so it's straight up and down. And I'll do that degrees, 45 degrees by putting in a construction line. Do your 45 in here, your dimension tool. Then as far as the sizes go, just select these and select this like part up at the top and make it equal. Do that with the smaller little curve as well. And the straight line should be fully defined then. So the only measurement we put in was obviously the 45 degrees, but then this 3. Right here. All right, so once again, I'm going to hit sketch. And now I have 3 separate sketches, but none of them are connected to another. So this is the interesting part here. So far, we drew a circle on a flat plane. We drew these hooks on flat planes. The coil obviously actually breaks all 3 planes because if you think about this, it's not only going up on the Y, but it's going right and left on the and forward and backwards on the Z. So it's actually breaking all 3 planes. Well, we are going to make a sketch now that breaks all 3 planes as well. So select the drop down underneath the sketch tool and select the sketch. We'll do the top part first. What we'll do with this, we'll use a tool that's easy to go in between the different planes, and that would be the spline tool. Tool, and I'm going to select the end point here and the end point of this. And I know it doesn't necessarily snap, but trust me, it is. So once we click those 2, don't click again, just hit escape. Okay? Now, with this spline drawn, we're going to make this tangent. So we're going to the coil, hold in Shift and the spline. We'll make that tangent. Do that up here as well. Select the spline, hold in Shift, select the straight line, and make that tangent. It's going to kind of bend and reshape itself so that it is tangent to those 2 different lines, even though it technically is breaking the planes. And if you rotate around, you can kind of see it is breaking the planes in a different way. When I say breaking the planes, I mean it's not on a flat 2D surface. This is actually left and right, up and down, and forward and backwards at the same time. It's a 3D sketch. And I'm going to hit sketch. And because I rotated my screen, I'm just going to hit Control 1 so it rotates back to the front view. I'm going to do the same thing down here for this bottom half. But when we're doing that, when I just noticed that I didn't actually return from the sketch, make sure you do return from the sketch. And if your 3D sketch is still selected, when we go to make another sketch, it's going to edit this. So what I'm going to say here, sorry, I just got a little tripped up, is you want to have nothing selected. I'm going to do the same process down here for the bottom. So we'll hit the drop down in 3D sketch. And you notice it's starting a second one. That's what we want to have here. If you see that you're still editing the first one, hit deselect, and then make it another 3D sketch. All right, so I'll zoom in here, down at the bottom, get my spline, and do the same thing. Click the end of the spiral, end of the straight line, hit escape. I'm going to select my spiral, or my coil, hold in Shift, select the spline, and make it tangent. Select the spline, hold in Shift, click the straight line, and make it tangent. Okay, now I'm going to hit return from sketch again. So as of right now, we have our spiral, 2 different sketches, and then 2 different 3D sketches. So we need to actually combine all of these together so that we can sweep this path. I'm going to go over to my Features tab, and there's this little button here that we don't really ever use, and it says Curves. It's Commands for Curves. Well, these are all curved. Okay, and if we look at some of these, there are videos online that explain a lot of these, of what you can do with them. What we're going to be doing is using the composite curve, and what this does is it joins different entities, okay, like lines. So I'm going to go right down from the top, and select each one. So I'm going to select the top sketch, that 3D sketch, my helicoil sketch, my next 3D sketch, and my sketch down there. Hit the green check, and it's going to combine all of those together. And now I can go up to Boss Base, and I'm going to hit the circular profile. It's going to save us a step from having to make a plane on the end of this and drawing another circle. We're already going to sweep this with the circle, so that is a very nice setting here that saves us a step. And the path obviously is going to be the entire thing, so just select that. And we're going to set millimeters to 1, because right now it says you can't do it. It's too big. So we're going to set this to 1. And you might be saying, millimeter, wow, that's extremely tiny. There are tension springs that are this tiny. Okay, the one that I measured, 1 millimeter. I was actually shocked that it was that thin. So I'm going to hit the green check. And you can actually rotate around this thing, and it looks pretty cool. You have different sketches that three-dimensional plane, really bend around. And mine doesn't look super realistic, and because I have the realism and the ray tracing, everything else turned off, just so my computer can a little bit better. But if you have some of these extra settings turned on here, yours will look a lot nicer than this.